United, together, here we stand. Savannah, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength, financial insight, tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts. Practical guidance that moves you fast. Workplace wellness hour brings substance and spark. Together we flourish, together we make our mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. That works puts growth in the frame. So mark your calendar, answer the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all. Say no, building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Workplace Wellness Hour. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Sumana Jennings, Ashley Fluellen. Today is Monday, March 16th, 2026, and I am here in the Washington, D.C. area on the East Coast, and I realized as I was, scheduling this room that we are hitting three time zones now that Ashley is out on the West Coast. We've got Mountain Time, Pacific Time, and Eastern Time represented here. But let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching live, team replay, let us know what city, state, country you're watching from. And also, let us know if you're a first-time viewer, because we are going to be providing a raffle for some free tickets. More to come. But before we do that, let's do some introductions. Ashley, Sumana, how are you today? Great to see you all. So let's start with you, Sumana. How has your couple weeks been? What have you been up to?
It's been fabulous. Welcome, everybody. I was just like singing along to the song. I always forget how long it is, and I always see a glimpse of something that I think I've seen before and I haven't, and I'm always laughing because it's always getting better. Felipe, thank you so much. And the song is great. I'm well. It's been Ramadan for almost done. This is the last week of it. But things have been, how can I say? Ramadan always brings a lot of clarity to my life. So I feel like I am operating with the highest level of clarity. So that's how things have been. I'm very, very happy to be here. Ashley, I'm so happy you're able to find the link. How are you, my friend?
Good. Can you guys hear me? See me?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I had to get on my old laptop. I don't know what was going on.
You sound really clear, by the way.
Okay, so my old laptop is where I need to be. That's great.
Yeah, Bigfoot's not shaving in the background. I love it.
Yeah, thank goodness. But hello everybody. I have been good over these last couple of weeks. I just completed one of my classes. I had like a really thorough final project. So I feel like today's my first day kind of coming up for air from that. But I did get 100%. That. Thank you. And yeah, I'm just feeling really good. Felipe, how have you been?
I have been very busy. I've been working on some contracts. I've been doing some training, some executive coaching. So it's been good. Still trying to find that job, that right job. I'm not trying to find just any job. Like I always preach, I want to find jobs the way I find them for other people. I want to find the right job with the right company and the right culture. And so hopefully I will find that soon. I have a lot of irons in the fire. Outside of that, if for any reason I disappear off the screen, we were in a tornado watch for a while here. Today's been a very crazy windy day. So we have a lot of wind after a lot of flooding and rain. And hopefully that will be the extent of it. But I do want to say, for those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I am an HR executive, a trainer, a LinkedIn top voice, and most recently an international best-selling children's book author. And a lot of the stuff that I do just goes around with all the work that I've gained over the years of working in HR in different industries and wanting to give back, because just like Sumana and Ashley, people have helped us out through our careers without asking for anything in return. And those are the people that stick with you, and you remember those people. So I look forward to being able to give back and hopefully provide that same value to you all, the way Sumana and Ashley and I try to do every week. It's one of the reasons why I posted that post today about the top 5 reasons to check out the Workplace Wellness, or why people keep on coming back. I went through all the comments and I really researched all the comments. I won't lie, I had ChatGPT help me formalize the comments to see if there's any trends. And those top 5 reasons of the fact that we deal with real talk about real issues that are relevant at work, that we have practical ideas that we can use tomorrow, that we provide fresh perspectives from real leaders, that we're future ready mindsets, and that we have a community that wants you to win. And I just think that that is something that really does embody a lot of stuff, because we say the word wellness so much, but it means more than just health in the sense that we sometimes take it. But before I go into anything else, I want to recognize all the wonderful people that we have in the chat. It's so great to see so many people in the chat today. I hope you all find some value today. But hello to Jackie, who's been an early bird, got here fast. Jackie and I were just in a meeting together with Dr. Tanya, who's also in the chat, and Leslie Flowers, as well as in the meeting for the virtual wellness experience. Quick commercial about that. We talk about wellness all the time here in this room. Well, this is an event that happens annually, and it's going to be occurring March 20th and 21st. And we have, I want to say 15 speakers. If I'm wrong, correct me, Dr. Tanya. And it's not people that you always see here on LinkedIn. I'd say close to half of them are not active on LinkedIn the way some of us are. So there are people like myself, Dr. Tanya, Damien, Leslie Flowers, and Jackie Hallberg who are presenting, but there's a lot of people that you all have never heard from, and you would benefit from hearing and learning from them. So that's what I'm going to tell you. I'll put a link to the event in the chat, but I'm also going to raffle off 2 tickets to the events. And so throughout the event today, we're going to share one of the ways that we're going to raffle off is the person with some of the best questions throughout today's event will get a free ticket. The other one, we're going to raffle off randomly throughout the event. So more to come. But hello to Christy Williams. Thank you for being here. Stephen Eng, always wonderful to see you here from Rochester. Jason Forehand, it's always great to see you. This man, if you're not following him, check out the amazing work he does with his nonprofits. Of course, Dr. Tanya, I mentioned, she does so much work with creative ideas and a 2350 network, along with Damian Kinsley. We have Jackie Hallberg, as I mentioned, Kenneth Dunner. It's great to see you, my friend. Coach Carey, great first show the other day. You are just killing it. And Washington, D.C. is where I was flown to. Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Okay, very cool. And then we have Leanna. Great to see you here. Greggy Liverpool, Stone Cold Steve Austin Day. I didn't know that was a day, Gregory, but leave it to you to make sure that we know about that, because I know who Stone Cold Steve Austin. I remember watching him wrestle. Bill, William Rochelle, great to see you here. Gagan, I hope I pronounced your name correctly, but you're in Maryland, my home state. It's great to see you here. Thank you for joining us. And then Ennie is in London. Ennie is late for you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're not following Ennie, Ennie does some great work. He helps people out really who are trying to just get their name out there and brand themselves in what they're doing, whether they're being an author, things of that sort. So check out Ennie. LinkedIn user, I'm going to guess it's Damien, but if it's not Damien, let me know. And if it is Damien, still let me know. And with that, I think we hit everybody else. Oh, Melissa Houston's in the house, my partner in crime. Oh, she's checking us out during her lunch break. I love that. Thank you. And I think that is it. Okay. Let me just go. Lord, we have a lot of comments. Okay. So, and Sharik, thank you for joining us here. All right. So, by all means, make sure you ask questions, and don't ask just silly questions. We want some real questions about this topic. So, since this was a topic that Sumana, the amazing scientific Sumana, chose, I'll let her start us off with this topic. I have 2 slides only for FleetBase 5. I'll explain why, but I want you to introduce the topic and why we're doing it in part 2 and kick us off. Over to you.
Yeah, no, lovely. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for joining. I love that post that you put, Felipe. You know me, I'm a very data-driven person. In fact, even in my life, all the decisions I'm making, I'm looking at trends. I'm looking to see where do I need to pivot. Just like how we would do work at Jetty Wellness, I feel like all the work I do personally is also very data-informed. And I will say, looking at the past, since the beginning of 2026, our shows here, the Workplace Wellness Hour, I think we're averaging about 300 comments per episode, which I cannot believe it. It's actually insane that we can even think about that number of comments in 1 hour. So thank you so much. There's so many people I see here that I recognize. I know your names, and you've been coming to these shows for many years. And there's a lot of new people that I see, like Elisa right here, that I don't think I've met before, but there's so many new faces and new names that show up. And thanks to all the networking that Felipe does and Ashley's doing, and hopefully people from my network as well that show up to these events. I just want to start with that. Thank you, because these numbers are outstanding. I'm just so genuinely impressed that the quality of the conversation is keeping you engaged, where you are not only helping each other, but also adding so much value to the conversation. And I'll also say, when I read some of these comments, because a lot of the ideas, when Felipe said scientific Sumana, like I honestly, I think my brain works in this really weird way where I'm trying to almost weave in all these different ideas and also spotlight some of these conversations in our Jetty Wellness blogs. There's a blog that gets posted once a month, and I'm trying to tie all these pieces in, because we have quite a few readers that read that blog from all over the world. So if I see a comment here or a thought here or an insight here, I will tag you in my post as well. So you're gonna get this like really amazing global thought leadership representation, just from not just participating in the show, but also adding your insight. So I just want to thank you for that, first of all. So back to the show, I'll spend maybe just 30 seconds or so explaining what this is. VUCA, quite commonly known as the acronym for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity in the workplace. I've been thinking about this a lot because a lot of the work I do to help workplaces learn some of these scientific strategies, I go into these spaces, which is like a VUCA workplace. And because there's so many things, there's a war going on, there is so much uncertainty, the unemployment crisis in Canada and the rest of the world, I don't know the numbers, but I know this is quite high. A lot of young graduates are not able to obtain a job. A lot of people are losing their jobs, layoffs. This has been going on for so long. So I felt like the theme of what we were doing in January fit really nice into this theme. So part one, we talked about volatility and uncertainty. And so part two, we wanted to close the loop and talk about complexity and ambiguity. Now, my thought on this is, if you've read my post from this morning, it's a little bit different. So I'm not going to talk about it yet until I hear from Felipe and Ashley as to what they were thinking about. But I do welcome your kind of thoughts on how do we survive a very complex and ambiguous work environment, and B, what are some areas of concerns that you have seen that can make a work environment complex and ambiguous. So I would like to maybe have some of those thoughts in the chat box as well. And that's about it to kind of introduce us. Ashley, I'll pass it over to you if you want to add anything else. And then, yeah, let's just kick the show off. Let's just do that. Ashley, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for this part too, and this ties in with kind of how I went about part one as well. But I am a strong believer that in order to fix a problem, we need to have language for what the problem is. And so I do think that this acronym is really helpful for being able to diagnose and like start to build language around the problem. And I think last week we did a great job of really like getting into the first two, the volatility and uncertainty. And then today I'm excited to talk through complexity, what complex problems actually look like, how the map is built to be difficult to navigate. And then of course, ambiguity, having to solve problems even when we're not really sure like how we got into those problems, where the problems came from, how to go about solving them. And then I also just want to plug from last week. Oh man, I had his name written down in my notes and now I cannot find it. But one of our listeners did also bring up Bonnie, which is another acronym that kind of diagnoses the same groupings of problems. And so I've had some fun with just like looking at the similarities between those two and excited for this conversation. So I will pass over to Felipe.
All right. Well, I'm loving the conversation in the chat. It's great to see Coach Carey in there, and Kimberly, and who else did I miss? I thought I saw someone else sneak in here. But again, don't forget, ask questions about this topic and let us know your thoughts as we go in there. And as you were speaking, Sumana, I thought of what question we can ask people in the chat and they can guess throughout the show. So I counted how many shows we've done so far, Sumana.
Ooh, you know what? I have that number too. I'm gonna have to dig it up, but okay.
So I went through and I have the number of how many shows Sumana and I say Sumana and I because Ashley joined in season 2. So, but for all 4 seasons, how many shows have Sumana and I done total? And that includes the shows with Ashley, of course, but I want to make sure you include the ones that Sumana didn't and I did when we first started by ourselves, as well as the ones we've done with Ashley. Put that in the chat, put your guess. The first person who gets the exact number correct gets the ticket to the virtual wellness experience.
I love it. I love it. And so remember, folks, I'll give you a cue. We've been live every other Monday night for 4 seasons from September to June. Okay. Every other Monday night for 4 seasons from September to June. And I kid you not, we have not missed a single episode.
Not one.
Not one. Okay. There's been no absences. We've always covered for each other. Ashley joined in season 2. So from season 1, 2, 3, we're in season 4 right now. So what do you think
Hold
is
on,
our
we do take about a 4-week break during the
July,
holidays.
August? Yes, we take we take July, August off every year. So that's the number. As
No, but we also
ChatGPT,
take off. We also take off the end of December and beginning of January. Remember,
yeah, we also take Christmas and
New Year.
we take a
So
few weeks and New Year's off. So yeah, a rough number would be fantastic.
have fun guessing. I have all the shows in my notes that we've done, so I just counted them. So let's see how you all do. While you are guessing, let's kick off this Felipe's
Really
5 here.
quickly, I'm sorry, before
Go
we
ahead.
start, I just need to applaud you guys. I mean, like, you both deserve flowers. Never missed a show. That's so impressive.
I didn't realize until she said it, though. We haven't. I don't know how
We
that's happened.
literally have not missed a show, and it's actually quite fascinating that has never happened. We've been very consistent, and we just this I don't know. Sometimes my jaw I'm in awe. I'm in awe, Felipe and Ashley.
I am too. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I see the guesses are starting to come in. So all I'm going to do is say this. Guess higher. All right, let's move on. All right, so VUCA Part 2, we're talking about specifically, the complexity and ambiguity of it all. Why is this doing this? Stop messing with me. All right, so let's go to the first slide. All right, if you can't read this, please don't hate me because this is a podcast for the most part. I will share this in the chat. But I wanted to put in from both sides, and you kind of alluded to this a little bit, Sumana, is what can employees do in the workplace when they are dealt with all this complexity or ambiguity? But also, what can leadership do to help the issue? So I have 2 columns here that I'm going to talk about: leadership recommendations and employee strategies. Starting off specifically with complexity. So talking about complexity, here's some things. I'm going to talk about the employees first, because if you're in that atmosphere and you're in that environment, here are 5 things you can focus on. I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly. Feel free to ask questions. But the first thing an employee can do is focus on what you can control, because obviously focusing on what you can't control just provides additional stress and it doesn't help you. But make sure you identify what you can control in your role and concentrate on those next actionable steps. The other thing, when you're in that moment of complexity, ask clarifying questions to confirm priorities. Sometimes leaders are just rambling because they're in a hurry and they don't realize that they're not giving you all the information. So asking that clarity of what the priorities are, or the expectations, or what decisions were made earlier, that's important. The other thing, break work into smaller wins and focus on achievable steps to build that momentum. And what I mean by that is celebrate if you finish a project and you're like, all right, I've finished this, I've emailed it, it's sent. Take a 5-minute break and go take a short walk, or go, relax and just, watch a facility video. But celebrate the small wins because they are achievements. And then the other thing is communicate progress often and sharing updates, because it really does help keep the work moving. And if you're not communicating, you could be part of what's making things complex. So it's important for you to communicate often, because if what you're communicating isn't correct, you're giving someone the opportunity to share that right information with you. But when there's all this complexity going on, it's utter chaos sometimes. So communication is so important, and accurate communication is even more important. And then the last one here is document decisions and agreements, track responsibilities, updates, and outcomes to reduce confusion. And I do say this to help you stay focused and know what you've done and accomplished, whether it's for updates or during your performance review. But also, it's also to protect you. You want documentation of what you've done, because if the crap hits the fan, sorry for the the non actually, I'm not even going to say it. Anyways, when you want to document stuff to protect yourself, because you want to have it in case there's some kind of legal issues later on, in case you have opportunities to prove that you were sharing the right information, you have it documented. And outcomes, results, that's important to also show when you're trying to prove that you've been relevant and you've been effective. So I'm going to stop there about employee strategies before I get into leadership recommendations. Sumana, Ashley, what are your thoughts about this?
Actually, I might hold off a little bit because some of what you have there is maybe kind of
Okay.
what I wanted to talk about. So maybe I'll just hold off. And I'm loving the numbers that are coming through, Felipe. in
Oh
the
yeah,
chat.
I see. Oh yeah, they are coming through. Okay. Oh, y'all getting close. Okay, I see some numbers. All right. So let me go through the leadership, and then we'll talk about complexity as a whole. How about that?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Perfect. Okay. So going back.
Unless Ashley, do you want to jump in? Totally up to you.
No, this works for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get
Okay.
through.
Now, for all you that are in leadership, that you actually have the ability to make a stronger impact, that you have the ability to make decisions to improve things, here's some things that you got to think about when there's all this complexity, because even though you may not have been the cause of the complexity, people are looking to you for solutions. So the first thing is simplify priorities. Give people top 3 things they need to focus on, okay? When you give them a whole to-do list and it's 20 items long, that's just going to overwhelm people and they're not going to be able to focus. So simplify the priorities and let them know this is what we need to do right now. These 3 things, who can help out with what, who wants to split off, and just work as a team. The second thing, clarify. Own what you're doing, make it clear who owns what decisions and what responsibilities. That way they know who to go to when there has to be a quick decision made. When you're dealing with a chaotic, complex environment and you have to make quick, fast decisions, it's important to make sure you know who to go to. Number 3 here is break big problems down, turn large challenges into smaller milestones. It's just like when you have a goal that's so big and it seems like it's overwhelming and you're not going to be able to accomplish it because it's just too much. You can accomplish it, but break it down into small little chunks. Same thing here. Break down problems into small things and small challenges. Okay. All right. Well, the entire email system is down. All right. Well, let's talk to IT. IT, you all deal with this problem. This is what I need you all to do. These 2 people, I need you all to go around and communicate verbally on the phone, let people know what's going on. You 2, I need you to come up with a strategy of how we're going to communicate with the email down. These are small problems people can focus on. But if everyone's trying to fix everything, it just makes it even more complicated. The next part is improve cross-team communication, create alignment across departments and stakeholders. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because, again, it goes back to clear communication. Clear and accurate communication is so vital during these times. And you can't afford to have someone have bad information, wrong information, or be overly chatty. You got to be specific and clear and direct. And the last one is focus on the progress. It's easy to get pulled down to the negativity, and you don't need to, as a leader, to be acting nervous, fearful, negative. You got to help people focus on the progress. No one's perfect. So giving that words of encouragement instead of waiting for perfection can really help people move forward and navigate through that complexity without burning out, without feeling overwhelmed. All right, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to hand it over to you, Sumana, to share your wisdom, and then we'll go to Ashley.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep mine like really simple because I think a lot of what you said sort of fits in. Because I was thinking about this more from just one lens, which I think you already have in your content there, Felipe. But I was thinking about it from the lens of just communication because I've kind of seen that in some VUCA environments myself. So what I wanted to teach or reteach, because this is not a new conversation that I've had on Workplace Wellness Hour. This is from last year. Again, evidence-based, but something that we can remember would be very, very powerful in a time or a space like this, is learning the different types of communication. So there's 3 different sort of models when it comes to communicating, especially in volatile, uncertain, but also most importantly in complex and ambiguous environments. And I was thinking back to when I was working during COVID, and that was a very complex time with tons of ambiguity. So there's three different types of communication that I think about when I think about this, which is task related communication, relationship related communication, and safety related communication. So it's not just about thinking, I got to do one or the other. I want you to think about, how do I connect the dots as a leader as well as an employee. So when it comes to task, in these times, it's very important to kind of figure out like what needs to get done. And as a leader, maybe what you need to say is, here's my medium, high, low priority. I just need you to know what that is. And as a employee, for you to acknowledge that that is what it is. And I know what tasks need to get done, and everything else can be delegated or reassigned. When it comes to the relationship part of it, I think this is the most important thing. How do I continue having conversations in these really complex and ambiguous times when we can still build trust and stay connected? I think that becomes extremely important. So double down on task and double down on relationship. And I would say triple down on safety, because that's the third element of a type of conversation that you need to have more of when complexity is at its highest and ambiguity is at its highest. And so this is where I need leaders to create a space where people can speak up, that experimentation is allowed, that it's okay to say that, what, if you failed, I'm not gonna get mad at you, right? So be able to ask those questions and have that experimental mindset. So as just a recap, task related, relationship related, and safety related conversations, double, triple down on these and connect the dots, especially when there is a multi-generational team. If I have Ashley and Felipe working in the same team, I'm going to have to talk to Ashley about task, relationship, and safety in a different way. And I would need to talk to Felipe about task, relationship, and safety in a different way. And then they would need to have that same sort of conversation with me. So having that multi-generational lens, I think is very, very important. So that's about all I wanted to bring to the table. Simple, easy, 3 ideas, double, triple down on communication when things are complex and there's tons of ambiguity. So I'll stop there. I'll pass it to Ashley, and we'll have people guess what's going on here on the chat.
Thanks,
Ashley.
Simona. I loved that. I was like writing so fast trying to get down everything that you said, because I do think that it's just like so useful across sectors to really like hone in on that communication. For me, what I wanted to focus on, and you mentioned this, was that experimentation aspect. I mean, I am the creative artist of the group, so of course I'm going to talk about creativity and experimenting. But I did just want to kind of bring it back to explaining the issue, and just kind of focusing on the fact that complexity happens because there are a lot of like interconnected issues that are happening. And of course, when there are a lot of interconnected issues, the problems kind of become open-ended. And so trying to fit a singular loop around a problem that has so many different, open ties, we'll say the loops are not closed, and there are so many of them, it can be difficult to know where to start, and it just feels chaotic. And so I wanted to just make this point that open-ended problems often require somewhat open-ended solutions, and rather than falling into the possible perfectionist trap of mental overload, decision fatigue, analysis paralysis, now would be a great time for experimentation. If you are a solopreneur, maybe that means that you really take time to decide on an experiment, set time for how long that experiment will last, and then just do it and collect data, decide what worked, what didn't work, what maybe needs improvement, and move from there. But it requires really honing in, deciding to do the experiment, see where it takes you, and then continue iterating from there. And then same thing with ambiguity. When we don't even know how to interpret what's happening, it's kind of like a fluctuation. We need to bring it back in, get really, really clear, decide how we're going to move forward, pull out a little bit, move forward, and then bring it back in and analyze the data, if you will. So that was my main point, was just,
Oh my God, you sound like me. Analyze the data.
know,
What's
I love it.
happening?
I love it.
even though it's like experimenting, I was kind of putting my Sumana hat on of like, the experiment has the purpose of data and figuring out the data. And so do that fluctuation bit. But that was my point.
Well,
And I will pass over to Felipe.
I love that you have the Sumana hat on, because I do think that it's always a good thing to channel our inner Sumana, because that is when I do take the data, and yes, I may use ChatGPT to help me compile it, but it's helped me get the data that I need. I'm feeding it the data, and I think that's important. And before I go on, just want to give a tip to all the wonderful people who are guessing. Thank you for all the wonderful guesses. Kudos and great job to everyone, but no one's gotten it right just yet. But here's your hints. The closest so far has been Mr. Gregory Liverpool. So check out what his guess was. And again, it has to be the exact guess. All right, now, real quick, before I go into the next slide, I want to talk about experimenting. We're talking about having complexity in the workplace, and we haven't really defined whether it's been anticipated or unanticipated. I think a lot of the discussion has been around unanticipated complexity. Now, I'll give you an example of what I mean by anticipated. Having a potential natural disaster, like a tornadoes coming, you get acknowledgement from the news and the media, hey, prepare, shelter, do things. COVID, you can say that we didn't know it was coming, but we did in a way as we started hearing what was happening in China. The company I was at, you know what we did? We said, let's go home and work remotely one day and see if our systems can handle it, and experiment and test and push it to see how far we can do it in case we are forced to work remotely. I'm sharing that story because as a leader, if you're able to experiment, hey, what would happen if this went down, or if this happened? How complex would it make the environment and our work? If there's a way to test it and experiment and get data, I think it's highly valuable. So I wanted to throw that out there because my inner Sumana was pushing it out. All right. And I love that you mentioned.
I love that. I love that so much. And actually, I didn't even think about it, because when I was reading some of the literature on VUCA, I think a lot of it that I saw was the unanticipated sort of challenges. And also some of the newer literature has been on, actually, some of the newer literature, which I haven't finished reading, has been on working from home and those remote work challenges that were the consequence of what happened. So that was a really good distinction, Felipe, and I really love that you brought that in. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Verinder, I saw your question in the comments. I'm using Restream instead of StreamYard. I'm a fan of Restream. I've been happy with it. So, but I love the multi-generational and the open-ended problems that you brought up as well, Ashley. I almost think instead of open-ended problem solutions, it's like multi-perspective solutions. I want to hear solutions from different people with different ways of looking at it, so that I'm making sure that we're looking at it from all angles. So I love that it's open-ended. I think that's so much value to the responses and the questions. So that was brilliant, Ashley. All right, let's get back to this here so we can invite some people up if they want to come up and keep on guessing how many shows we've had here, y'all. All right, I did put a little reminder here that complexity, what it looks like, is too many moving parts: systems, stakeholders, priorities, decisions. Complexity grows when priorities and ownership are unclear. All right, now let's get into ambiguity. All right, here are the things for ambiguity. I'm going to start off with the employee strategies first. Here's some things employees can do when there's a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty. Well, not uncertainty, we covered that. Ambiguity. So accept imperfect information. You won't always have every answer. Focus on learning and adapting. And that's something that is important, because we may want all the information, but the reality is we may not always have access to it. As an employee, you may not be in that room. You may not be part of that discussion. You have to accept and focus on what you do know. Take small action steps to move forward through experimentation and learning. Be careful, don't rush too fast, but when there's a lot of ambiguity, you want to find a way to experiment, test, say, all right, let's see if I can do this by myself. And then if you need help, then you can go out and ask for it. Hopefully there's people there to provide the help. But that's why it's taking small actions, so that if something happens and goes wrong, you can still get it fixed, hopefully with some help. Clarifying assumptions, the third part. Clarify assumptions, confirm your understanding before acting. So we talked about clarification before with complexity. Clarifying and communication are going to be a constant here, you all. That's always going to be a constant, I think, throughout this entire theme. We've talked about it last show.
Did we lose you?
I think so. I was just about to ask the same thing.
Okay, and I suspected we were gonna. He did say that we might lose him. Ashley, do you want to jump in on your thoughts?
Oh man, I'll let you start because mine is a solutions.
Okay,
piece,
and
so.
okay, and
I'm back. Sorry, can you hear me?
you're back. Okay.
Sorry about that. I was like, I realized it said, you lost connection. I'm like, can you all hear me? And I didn't hear anything. So, all right. So going back to this here, one of the things that, assumptions, you all remember that assumptions, are not accurate. And what happens is that you end up having assumptions made and you end up having problems with people having the wrong information. And you make a fool of yourself and the other person. So it's important to make sure that, there's a lot of clarity in the assumptions. And yes, I'm trying to fix this. Why is this not working here? All right, I'm trying to get this chat on. I'm gonna have to remove the chat. Sorry about that. All right, so let's turn this off. All right, so make sure that you ask for clarity. Don't make assumptions because you might go down the wrong road. Next part, stay flexible. Be ready to adjust. You may not like change. You may not like having to make last-minute decisions, but you may have to. In times of ambiguity, unfortunately, there's things that information that you're lacking, and it might cause you to be asked to do something last minute. You might be asked to change something. You may have just worked so hard on the report, and they're like, you know what? We need you to scratch that part and redo this part. And it's frustrating, but be ready for it and stay flexible. And then protect your mental health. Here's where you have to have those boundaries. Make sure you prioritize tasks, manage your energy to avoid burnout. You have to be the owner of your own temple. You have to create those boundaries to say, you know what, I'm going on my lunch break. I need to take a lunch break right now. Maybe I'm feeling a little lightheaded. Whatever the reason, you don't need to give a reason, but your lunch break is your time to take that break. When you go home, separate from work if you have to take that mental break. Don't take work home with you. Sometimes we do, but try not to. For leadership, this is going to be very similar to the other part. Set direction, provide clear goals. Again, clarity is constant here. Encourage experimentation. Create a culture where the teams feel like they're empowered to test ideas and iterate quickly, because that's what you need when there's ambiguity happening. Again, shocker, third one, communicate. Communicate what you know. Share updates, even when information is incomplete. People need to know that you are being transparent, and telling them, I don't know, is an answer, okay? And they appreciate that. When they think that you're not sharing information, you're holding back, they're going to make back to those assumptions. And guess what? The majority of the time, I wish I had a stat for this, the majority of the time, those assumptions are going to be filled with negativity. They're not going to assume everything's perfect because you're hiding stuff. No, they're going to assume something's wrong and the sky's probably falling. And that might not be the case. So you have them worrying for something that is not happening, and you're paying them to worry. All right, number 4, reward learning, adaptability, recognize the efforts that people are making, even if it's just a simple, hey, I saw what you did with that project, great job. I know it's been crazy lately, but I appreciate how well you did that. Something that simple or more publicly is so valuable. And stay calm in the unknown. Leaders don't need to be chaotic and hyper. This is a time to show your emotional intelligence, that you know how to Stay calm. When you stay calm, your team is more likely to remain calm and think clearly. All right, I'm going to stop there. Actually, no, the last part here, real quick, just to wrap up this part here. What does the ambiguity look like? Unclear outcomes, no playbook, evolving direction. And as a reminder, ambiguity shrinks when leaders create direction and employees maintain adaptability. All right, I'm going to stop there. And as you're sharing your thoughts, I'm going to put the link in the chat for people to join us up here on stage. And over to you, Samana.
Yeah, I'll keep mine short. I love that. And I do want to acknowledge one comment, which was from, who was that comment from? It was on my page. Just give me a moment. Oh, from Cooper. Cooper, you asked, is safety for neurodivergent people, queer people, Black people? Yes, safety related conversations to create that psychological safety, that you don't feel fear when you make a mistake. You don't feel fear when asking a question. There's no wrong question. And that really does need to come from leadership and the workplace culture. And the other question you asked was, is there supposed to be a colon after each kind of topic on the slide? I think I think that's what it is. It was the word and then sort of the explanation on Felipe's slide. I don't have much to say on this. I think the only comment I wanted to make was, again, this terminology that I had used last year when I was helping a university that was going through lots of sort of dynamics in a very ambiguous environment. And in literature, this term is called collective sense making, which, if you really think about it, it's really not that hard. Collective sense making really just means, how do we figure things out together when things are, in this sort of ambiguous state? And how do we as leaders and teams sort of create clarity through conversation? So my original comment about task, safety, and relationship conversations, that still applies. But what the only tweak that you would make is you would just start asking questions. For example, you would start asking as a team, like, what do we need to do to make this happen? How do we create a workflow? In a relationship sort of conversation, you would ask, a leader might ask, or a manager might ask, like, hey, can I create a space to have different perspectives? I'm going back to my COVID days, where I remember speaking up in a meeting with very high executives, some of whom I had never met, politicians in a space. And one of the things I said was, hey, we don't have a health and wellness committee, because a lot of us were starting to unravel, and the unraveling was happening in the state of ambiguity. And it was so simple at the time. All we needed was like food and snacks available to us, because none of us had time to go grab lunch at the vending machine. So I had asked in a meeting, can we just create a system where there's some snacks available, maybe some granola bars or some juice boxes for us to just eat, because we don't have time to go to our office to grab lunch or eat. And some of us have low blood sugar. So I had asked that in a conversation, and wanting to hear different perspectives. And it was really scary for someone like me in that space to put my hand up and ask a question, but I felt safe, and people said, yes, that's a really good question that you asked. And that brings back to safety. If there is collective sense making, and we're trying to understand what's going on, rather than saying, I'm going to figure it out by myself, I think it's okay in these spaces to say that, like Felipe said, I'm not sure. I don't have the answer. Maybe let's go find a person that can help us get snacks and leave it at the table here in the next couple of days. Another kind of a problem I had was parking. We were walking to work, everybody was quarantined at home. Downtown core was very creepy, and it didn't feel safe for us to be walking. And a lot of women were asking, hey, can we just get some parking spots available in the building for us to feel safe? Again, in these situations, what is that safety conversation that I feel safe bringing in? What is that relationship conversation that we can bring in? Collective sense making. Not that hard. It is possible. That's about all I wanted to share there. I know it's 6:50. We have about 10 minutes left. I'll pass it to Ashley to wrap us off, to hear her thoughts, and then maybe have some people come in. I still love the comments on the number of shows we've done. Hopefully a winner will come through a little bit later. Ashley, any thoughts from what I've shared, or any new thoughts about the A in the VUCA?
Yeah, for sure. I really just wanted to share a few kind of practical ways to get to, the small pockets of clarity that we're able to make for ourselves. Because ambiguity really happens when like there is no clear map that we can use to navigate through. And of course our brains are seeking that control, they're seeking that clarity, and that is what gives us comfort, is if we have that stability. But when that doesn't happen, as employees, as entrepreneurs, we do have to be adaptable. But how can we be adaptable while still having like a stable foundation? So these are just 3 short little exercises that folks can do to build this small pocket of clarity. One is a weekly reflection. I was not doing this when I was working for myself. I actually started doing this once I started school again. And it is such a game changer to just like really quickly take notes on what I learned, take notes on, things that I still have questions about. Predictions on what I'm going to learn next week. How does this tie into things that I've learned previously? And in a workplace, I feel like this would be extremely applicable, especially in the questions realm. If there are still questions that are floating around in your mind, don't just sit in them. Like take those notes, reflect, think it through, see if it comes up next week. And then if not, this takes me to my second piece, which is engaging in some sort of short daily ritual that will help make that map a little more clear. So maybe that's a quick brain dump at your desk. You write down every single thing that's in your brain just to get it out of there and onto paper, and then you can start to make sense of it. Maybe you work on a support plan, ask a colleague how they could support you. Maybe I can't think of the word for it. My friend had a really cute name for essentially kind of like switching tasks. If you're able to work on this, I'm happy to take something from your plate, and just building that support with each other, or asking your leader a question. If there is something that you don't understand, go and ask that question. And like Felipe brought out, I have actually never experienced a leader straight up saying, I don't know, but I know that it's possible. I know that it's out there. And it's true that will build the bridge of transparency and connection and trust between leader and employee. And then the last piece, of course, is to really get clear on your personal priorities every day, every week. Include your leader, include your colleagues, and just know the small wins that you could make every day. And so, yes, stability anchors, weekly reflection, personal priorities, and then a short daily ritual that will help you to build out that map. And Felipe, passing back.
All right.
to you.
Fair warning that the 50-mile-an-hour winds have reached here and the rain has arrived. So if I disappear, that's why. And I want to say welcome to Marcia Lee and a few other people who joined us. I do want to share that we've gotten close. Oh, and Charito, thank you for joining us. And Sandra Wise watching on YouTube. I want to remind people that the guessing is still on for the tickets to the Virtual Wellness Summit. And so far, 72 is the closest. No one's guessed. I'll give you, and as I told Gregory, higher than 72. That's the only tip I'm going to share. And with that being said, we have 3 guests on stage coming up. So let's start off with Mr. Gregory Liverpool first, and then we'll go through the other ones. So Gregory, we're going to ask to keep everyone to about 2 minutes to share. But what is your share today? Over to you, my friend.
Ladies first. Go to Marcia.
All right. Very nice, gentlemen. Thank you. LinkedIn gentleman. Marcia, let's go over to you. How are you, my friend? How have you been? What are your thoughts? Over to you.
What's happening? How you doing, everybody? You know what? I just hopped on late, but I understand. You know what? The whole thing is complex and thriving. It's just a lot going on. Ashley, you just made a good point. About knowing where you are, what you want to do. Like sit down, make your plan. I've been really more in tune to that this year. I mean, I've been at Felipe, as you know, I've been in tune to that anyway, but more so this year because I've actually told people where I'm going to be this year. And I said, this year I have a whip from attitude. And he was like, what you talking about? I said, what's in it for me? Because you know what? I'm there right now because right now I have no bandwidth. It's gone. I have no band. I have zero bandwidth. What has been sustaining me is all the activations I do outside of work. I do a lot of wellness activities. I be around people that bring value. I'm doing my life, still doing my life coaching certification, completing part 3 so I can be a full master. And I'm doing things that's going to help me, grow and be better because some people in the workplace don't get it. And we just had a layoff. And guess where I heard about it? I read it on Saturday on social media. I saw it on the feed. I'm like, are y'all serious? So nobody in the inside knew. Only a few people knew. And my coworker who actually needed to know, she didn't even know. I said, did you hear about this? I sent her the clip. What kind of shit? What kind of shiggity is that, y'all? No communication, no nothing. And how they expect people to act? How do they really expect people to feel? Do they really expect people to come there with a good attitude? Do they expect people to be warm and fuzzy? Well, I'm not warm and fuzzy anymore. I've had it. I have had it. I've had it. I've had it. So, basically, man, I have checked out. I have checked out until I could get something better. I like you said, I have checked out. And I'm quiet. I'm tired of the quiet toxicity because that's what it is. That's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I can totally, sorry, Felipe.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I can feel that. We had talked about a career reset and job hugging, and that slow disconnection that tends to happen when there's micro toxicity that can become macro toxicity. So I think in these situations, I've been giving this advice to a lot of people in my life lately, is when you reach a point in your life, in places like this, in VUCA environments, whether it's intentional or unintentional, there's usually a choice, and sometimes the choice will propel you to go forward, dive right in, fight the fight, and sometimes the choice will propel us to redirect. And neither of those options are incorrect. I think we can either do the thing that moves us into the direction that is going to allow us to keep that sanity, or we continue the fight and do that as well. So redirection, I'm a huge fan of that. I think we've got to be able to acknowledge our own resilience and be able to monitor. Ultimately, it is about our health and well-being, that stability piece that Ashley spoke about. I'll stop there. I'll pass it to Felipe and then Ashley and some of our other guests. Marcia, I'm always proud of everything you do, the work you've done, the growth that I've seen on LinkedIn. You're a TEDx speaker now. You have a gift, and the non-scientific Samana and the scientific Samana, they both say that this is a very, even without looking at the data, I can say that your passion for helping people will always be there, no matter where you are. So I'll pass it to Felipe if I need further comments.
No, Marcia, first of all, I appreciate how real and raw you're being. And I think that you are somebody who has done so much and tried so hard. So I know from just the years that I've known you that you're not someone who gives up easily. And right now, the priority is you. And I'm glad that you're making yourself the priority because you deserve it. And I don't think anyone can question that. So please keep on taking care of yourself. Remember that we're here for you. We're not just here on every other week. We're here during you and I met in person. Hell, we're in the same city. So, Gregory, can you put yourself on mute for a second? So I just want to say thank you for just being real, and know that whatever it takes, take care of yourself. And if you need us, you know how to reach us. Ashley, over to you.
Yeah, I completely echo everything that Felipe and Sumana have said, Marcia. And I also know exactly where you're coming from. I have been in workplaces where I have that feeling, the what's in it for me. you know, there's this quiet toxicity that's poisoning all of the interactions. And so it's really easy to give up when you're in that place because, like you said, it's like, what's in it for me? But I think that I want to repeat what Sumana said about just acknowledging our resilience. And I wanted to applaud you because the activations that you're doing outside of work, those are your stability anchor. Those allow you to keep going. You doing your wellness activities, you're gaining new skills with your coaching program. All of these things are that stable foundation that will allow you to continue doing this work, as difficult as it might be in the moment. And so thank you so much for that share. And I actually have to head out now. So I'm going to say my goodbyes. Thank you guys for an amazing show. I always love getting to come here and learn from everybody. And I will see everyone in a couple of weeks.
Thank
Bye, Ashley. And I can introduce, Gregory is missing from the live. Maybe he dropped off. We have, Gregory, you're back. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to Stephen, and then we'll wrap this up. Over to you.
Yeah. In terms of assumptions and stuff, I am basically the poster boy of that on the business end, basically drawing the short straw of that type of we'll say unethical and very unprofessional type of leadership behavior per se, since it is basically neurodiversity celebration week, and the theme is trying to celebrate different minds and basically put it out of the advocacy phase and now into the action phase of the whole genre of being neurodiverse. We need to basically, and I will say, really nip this thing in the assumptions and the ambiguous type of talk flesh that out in terms of leadership roles and stuff, because that's what needs to be happening in a nutshell, and it needs to be the time is now in regards to all of the data and the research that has been done, that it is a uber net positive in that type of realm in terms of leadership, business leadership culture, and all that type of stuff here and stuff. And a lot of people in my HR local network is basically willfully ignorant in regards to that, doesn't want to know that data. But as I will say, 53% of Gen Z is either has traits of neurodiversity or being diagnosed right off the top. So it's going to happen sooner than later and stuff, and of that nature. So that's all I have to say about the A in VUCA and stuff. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. And I love that lens. And I think we can never forget that lens, whether we're doing the conversation piece or any of the elements that Felipe and Ashley spoke about. Like, we've got to pay attention to the neurodivergent angle, and recognizing that it is a strength that everyone is going to think and speak and process and interpret differently. I know I was in one of Melissa's, Houston and Felipe's show a couple weeks ago, I think, and I was asking questions about, hey, what if you're coloring or doodling in a corporate work environment in a meeting, because that is the neurodivergent technique for you, and that is not something that the corporate world may allow. In some corporate places, that may come across as you're being a little maybe lazy, or maybe you're not paying attention to the meeting. So we definitely need to have this lens in all of the strategies when we are navigating VUCA at work. Because of what's going on, Felipe, with the storm, I am nervous about how much longer we can stay live. So maybe I'll pass it over to you because it's already 7:06,
All
and then
right.
we
Well,
can talk to Stephen yeah.
well, before I forget, before we go to Stephen, I just want to announce we do have a winner. Gagan, you are officially the winner of the virtual wellness experience ticket. Just send me a DM and with your email, and I will reach out to you with the information. But congratulations, you guessed 88. Sumana, we have had this is our 88th show.
Oh my God, 88!
Oh goodness! Oh wow! What
good
a number! That's a
Lord.
famous Dallas Cowboy number. Seriously.
Hey, you're talking to a Washington Commander fan. Don't bring up Dallas Cowboy numbers now. Come on. All right. So with that being said, Stephen, thank you for being so patient. Thank you for being our last speaker on our 88th show. And so with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, my friend. How are you?
All right, good evening, friends. Let's end your 88th show on a bang, shall we? All right, so I just wanted to say a couple of quick words about ambiguity, just in processing the past two episodes about VUCA, and it's been um, quite juicy to say the very least. So when I think about ambiguity, I think about my recent experiences from my past full-time job roles, because I've been in a lot of shall I say ambiguous situations. Like over the past year, I went through a merger and acquisition with my old company, and that into my current one, and that whole integration process lasted like over a year. And um, I'm very observant of how um, people on the various teams that I've been on tolerate ambiguity. And my main point is, like, your biggest teacher in how you tolerate ambiguity is how you observe others tolerate ambiguity. Because let's say, I think this can be influenced by your job capacity and your level of seniority. And let's say, for instance, you have a senior team lead, and for whatever reason, he or she or they, whatever pronoun you want to use, just making up an example, that person doesn't tolerate ambiguity that well, and they start going down Reddit rabbit holes and just spewing out like misinformation. So when you do that, whether you realize it or not, you're modeling how, like, the people you influence around you should perceive ambiguity. So if you're already, let's say, buddied up with um, the two people like sitting next to you, you have strong relationships with them, and this is how this is the kind of information that you give them, then chances are you're sending a subliminal message that, hey, it is kind of okay to accept half information and assume that it is the universal truth, even though you deep down know that it is not verified, and you know that you don't have um, all of the clear and accurate information. So just to wrap this up, like, if you find yourself caught in the middle of this, and you're receiving conflicted information, and you don't know who to believe because your leadership is operating behind closed doors, and you have not received any updates from them in a while, I would gently advise: sit back, reflect, continue to observe, and make sure you know where you're verifying your information. Thank you both.
Well, thank you, Stephen. You provided such a wonderful insight there, and it is true. It's people learn from those that they work with, they watch. It's like a child learning from a parent, employee
Yep.
learning from a leader. It's the same concept, and they're going to mimic the behavior, the practice, the lack of leadership or the wonderful leadership skills. So that's why I always say leadership. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Copper. He wants to go downstairs, my dog. And so leadership is, again, it's not a title, it's a responsibility. And people have to remember that. And if you don't want the responsibility that comes with leadership, then don't go into it. And I always sound harsh when I say that, but that's reality. And I love that you shared that perspective. And I really appreciate you coming up and sharing that, because a lot of people, I think, don't realize that they may be mimicking themselves bad leadership qualities because it's just how they learned it. So evaluating ourselves is so important. And I just want to remind people that it's always going to be there, and you're going to have situations, but like you said, when there's that environment where you don't hear and get accurate information, rely on what you do know. Focus on what you have, or on those that you can trust. Once you have someone that you can trust that has consistently provided you accurate information, keep that door of communication open so you can keep on going to that person when you need to. There was a question here, Sumana, that was for you that I don't know if you had a chance to see.
I did see that, and I'll answer that, and then we can wrap this up. Stephen,
Okay.
thank you so much. Love your thoughts and comments. And I think it answers this
Thank
question
you.
as well. I think what you commented sparked an answer from me, which I think will answer this question. Wait, let me just find that question again. I think the question was, how do we, gotta go back here. Just give me a moment. How do we,
There it is. It's on the screen.
Oh, there it is. There you go. What tasks and requirements, when tasks and requirements are not clear, how do we smart and how do we take up the work? Honestly, exactly what Stephen said, is start by asking, and I do this all the time. Start by asking clarifying questions. I learned this in my MPH in one of our courses, which was like program evaluation. And one of the things they teach us for every evaluation, there's different types of evaluation we can do in public health, and one of them that we're supposed to ask is, how do I measure success? What is your measurement of success? So that could be one question, because there's a few different ways of doing the same task. And maybe one question we could ask is, how does success look like for you for this task? And how do I measure success for this task? Or, repeating it back and saying, you know what, I'm not clear on this piece. Can you help me? Saying something really simple as like, can you help me understand? Is this how I understood? Can you clarify the approach? Like, there's a few different ways of how you can get clarity. But what I will say is, if there's psychological safety in the workplace, clarifying questions should never come from a place of fear. I should be able to go to Felipe or Stephen, if you were my bosses, and say, I didn't understand this clearly in that meeting. I just want to get some clarity on, what does success look like? Did I understand the scope of this work correctly? And especially because of my analytical brain, I need to know the SOP and I need to know the steps. So Swapna, I think for you, that's probably where I would start. Panel, if you have anything else you want to add, you can. And then what a great show this has been.
This has been an amazing show. I mean, especially thanks to all of you all. And I do think that with everything you said there, Sumana, it's so spot on, and it's so important for us to make sure that we are asking the right questions. Sometimes we don't have that luxury, but it's one of those things where we have to be able to try our best to deal with a situation that we've been dealt. And sometimes it's not good, but I do love what Sharito said. Sharito was talking about arming yourself, mentally, physically, intellectually, spiritually, with all the stuff you need, because there's always going to be complexity and ambiguity in the workplace. It's not going to go away. There's no cure for it per se. So I think when we are prepared for it, knowing it's going to happen in life and in work, we handle it a little bit better. And again, those leadership tips, transfer them into parenting tips or just leadership of a volunteer. They transfer over very, very well, you all. So thank you all for really providing us such a great conversation, and for the great questions, and for coming up here, Stephen, Gregory, Marcia. As far as our next show, we have some ideas, our 89th show. We got to do something huge for our 100th show. So just wait for that.
Oh my God. It's going to be so great. And I can't believe it's going to be the season 4. 100th show will be season 4. That's amazing.
It's insane. It's insane.
Oh
All
my
right. So
God.
thank you, everyone. I mean, everyone that was here, that guest, Gagana, I'll get with you with the ticket. Leanna, thank you for being here. And Sandra Wise for watching YouTube. Copper says hello to you as well. Thank you all for staying with me during this chaotic storm. And I think the worst hopefully is passing, but we'll find out. But we'll be back in 2 weeks. Sumana, what do you have coming up? You want to share any last words?
Yeah, I do. I also wanted to say, I know that you were also giving away a ticket for the best question. So if you have a question that you saw in the chat, and if there was a winner there, do you want to say that now or do you want to say that later?
Well, we'll share that later. I wanted you and I to collaborate, and then we will send out and reach out to that person and announce it then, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, that sounds great to me. I actually have I probably should have mentioned this in the beginning of the show, but I have some special announcement to make, which is some of you know that I have this program called the ambassadorship program in Jetty Wellness, where we have all these incredible humans with psychology, social science, mental health, public health, policy background, who are evidence-based, who like sharing our content and being part of the sort of mentorship community that I have. And they typically take some of our content and disseminate that here on LinkedIn. But one of my ambassadors actually reached out to me a couple of weeks ago in the beginning of Ramadan and said, you know what, Sumana, I don't spend that much time on LinkedIn. I spend more time on TikTok. And as you know, I don't actually spend any time on TikTok. I gave that up. And so did I also gave up Instagram, scaling back. So the idea was, well, how do we leverage something that she likes so that she's not spending time on a platform that she doesn't like? So in that spirit, we have now opened up a new TikTok account for Jetty Wellness, and it's called Jetty Wellness West Africa, because this is going to be very much curated content for the West African community. And it's going to be all local content that Rachel is going to make, which I'm really excited about because I've never really done something geographically ever in my whole entire life. So this evidence-based content that I post, a lot of it is like I guess most of the problems and solutions we give are very North American problems because that's what I know. But what I've learned from my ambassadors is some of the problems that are happening in West Africa, for example, the professional problems are different, but we can use some of the same content to teach that community. So we've just started lifting off that initiative, and there's a new account that we just created. So it's going to be managed by Rachel, who is the ambassador. I'm not really going to be on that account. I think that there's just going to be one introduction of me, but the rest of the content is going to be fully curated and created by the ambassador, which I'm really excited about. And it's going to be very West African focused with their professional day-to-day mental health, workplace well-being problems. So that's all I wanted to share. Very excited and something so new for us. That's about it.
Well, I'm very excited for you. And I think it's awesome that you're doing that kind of work and it's reaching out globally. That's just phenomenal. So kudos to you. I saw someone scan your QR code. I hope more do as well. For me, as I mentioned before, I'm currently doing contract work as I search for that right permanent home where I can work full time. I want to find that right place with the right culture and the right people where I can do my best work. But in the meantime, I'm definitely offering my services through Confused Consulting. I have training that I'm doing right now, executive coaching that I'm doing right now. I don't have any recruiting needs right now, but if people have a need for recruitment, I'm available for that. And overall HR services like audit and compliance. So if you know of a small organization that might need fractional HR work, or of a small employer that needs some guidance, feel free to have them reach out to me. And then, of course, I always appreciate when you all follow me and subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I do house all of the Workplace Wellness Hour shows. That's where actually, I have to see if all 88 shows are actually listed there, because we started YouTube later. So they might not all be there. But
yeah, I don't think they're all there. But,
but
yeah,
for the last couple of years, they're there. So check out there. But you also have the careers counseling coaching that I do with Melissa Houston, which I'll be doing next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And it's also where I do the Social Saturday chats every Saturday at 12 noon. And that is with the Mac Laupsher and gang. And so you can also find my Future Ready Voices. That's only quarterly. I don't want to burn out and do too much. So that is where I talk to future or leaders that are talking about the future of work and how can they make sure that they are building a good working environment for the future of work as they join the workforce. So if any of that resonated with you, please subscribe. Or if you just want a good laugh, check out my cooking videos. You'll laugh your butt off, trust me. Not at so much the cooking, but the video of me trying to cook. So with that being said, Sumana, thank you for always being just an amazing partner. I can't believe we've done 88 shows together. It's been the best journey I could have ever asked for. I don't think I ever could have predicted that we would be doing this and still enjoying it as much as we do.
I know. I'm just my heart is so warm and I'm happy. I can't believe that number. And the fact that we're going to be reaching 100 in season 4. You and I met 4 years ago, quiet quitting.
Yep.
That's what's kicked us off. And now here we are. And it feels like it's so fun every time and nothing changes.
Wouldn't it be great if there was like a wonderful trend like quiet hiring where people are quietly hiring people on a good term?
Oh
You know?
my God, yes. And I think I'm manifesting this, but I think season 5, we've got to do an in-person. Hopefully
absolutely.
things in your country are a little bit not as crazy and volatile.
Yeah, I'm happy to go to Canada. I'm really happy to go to Canada right now. So
Come to Calgary. Come to Calgary.
all right. Well, listen, I look forward to doing 100 shows, 200 shows, whatever it is, because it's been an amazing journey. And thank you to all of you all who have been here with us as a part of it, because it would, as much as I love Sumana, it would have gotten boring if you all weren't here after the first few episodes.
Agreed.
So I appreciate you all. We look forward to seeing you. And as always, please remember, be confident in what you know because you have a lot of experience. Be curious about what you don't know because you got a lot of access to information. Be grateful for what you have because you have more than others. Be compassionate to yourself and be tenacious because you've got this. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Adios.
United, together, here we stand. Savannah, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength, financial insight, tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts. Practical guidance that moves you fast. Workplace wellness hour, bring substance and spark. Together we flourish, together we make our mark. answer the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.